Call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Bennett? Mrs. Eckerd?
Here.
Mr. Franco?
Here.
Mrs. Goebel?
Here.
Mr. Widener?
Here.
Mr. Burke?
Here.
Mr. Farr?
Here.
Mrs. Arnold?
Here. Executive sessions to be announced. We had an executive session on June 15th after the board meeting for personnel matters related to specific staff, and then again this evening before this meeting, before the building and grounds meeting, we had another executive session for personnel matters related to specific staff. With that, do we have a superintendent's remarks?
Always we do. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to start off by thanking the board for such an engaging and productive discussion about the possibility of a solar energy savings project on our campus. Certainly, this is not an easy choice to make. There's not a right or wrong decision. No matter how the board ultimately decides to proceed, I'm confident we approach the project, ultimately with the intent to benefit our taxpayers. Although the weather and air quality has been less than ideal, it's still been a great summer. Last week, I got to spend some time with my family hiking through the Rocky Mountains. What an incredible experience. Pictures don't do it justice. I came back from vacation recharged, and ready to kick off the school year. As a district, we're gearing up. We're ready. Our buildings look great. You saw the floor in the band room and executive. It looks spectacular, even though I dragged a table across it. John, I'm sorry. The buildings look great. Our student schedules are being finalized. I'm sure our students aren't as excited for the start of school as I am, but I'm certainly excited to get everybody back. Just today, we wrapped up our summer instructional camps for participating primary and intermediate students. Camp went very smoothly. Teachers and paras were dynamic. Our students were fully engaged. We had about 150 students participated in the summer program every day. It was a great program. It was a huge success. Just giving a shout out for our neighbor. In less than 2 weeks, our neighbor Triton Hose Company will be hosting their annual carnival. I hope everyone goes out and supports Triton. It'll run from August 1st through the 5th. It's fun, it's family friendly, has great food, rides, live music. So go out and support our neighbors at Triton. And finally, I'd like to thank retired Tunkhannock teacher Ina Hunter. She sent me such a wonderful, such a complimentary email about one of our sports teams. Ina currently serves as the president of the Mahoopany Area Library and reached out to me to share her appreciation for the high school football team, helping load and transport books for the library's annual fundraiser at Lazy Brook Park. She also shared that the boys were not only strong, but they were polite and respectful students, and it's great to hear such positive comments about how our students are always willing to serve the community. Brief today, thank you very much, and as always, I appreciate the opportunity to provide an update for everybody.
Okay. Do we have any members of the public here tonight?
Mr. Baker.
Well, I was deciding whether or not to read through the whole spiel if there was actually no one. Were you planning to talk tonight, Bob? Do you need me to run through the rules? Okay.
He's under 4 minutes anyway.
All right. We'll open the floor for public comments on agenda items. Okay. All right. Item number 5, the approval of minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Widener?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item number 6, business and finance. Do we have a motion for items 1 through 6 under business and finance?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Widener?
No.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Abstain.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Superintendent's report.
Item number 1, recommend a resolution be adopted approving the personnel report as presented.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
Being on the athletic committee for several years, it's always been my understanding, how many of these extracurricular appointments were actually posted?
How many?
I believe there to be reposted every year.
They could be reappointed every year, or they could be posted every year. I actually looked into that. We are not under any obligation to post them every year, but we have the ability to do so.
Okay, all right, just wanted to clarify.
That's a great question. In fact, I asked that same question.
I mean, I think that that has some merit. I think that it might be beneficial to, that had been a discussion several years ago, that we were supposed to consider every position empty or open at the end of every season. It might be worth starting to put that out there that, we're taking interested applicants for these positions, and then if the person who has the position now still wants to do it the next year, they don't have to do a whole, just submit a letter or something
Yes.
saying that they're still interested. But,
Fine.
I don't think that there should necessarily always be grandfathering in. It should be dependent upon the team performance and the coach
Right.
performance and all those types of things.
Right, I mean, yeah, understood. Understood.
Does Kenny still do an evaluation?
Yes. Every coach gets evaluated every year.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Widener?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
No,
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes.
And I would, thank you very much. I would like to congratulate Mary Rice. She was a cafeteria worker. She is retiring from our school district. And Jamie Polcheski, one of our reading specialists, has decided to resign. And I want to congratulate both of them for their careers and dedication to the students of Tunkhannock. Number 2, I'd like to recommend a resolution be adopted approving the conferences listed in the agenda.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion?
Can I just point out that the science of reading for administrators, that's a requirement for people to maintain their certificate, but that is also covered by Title I funds. And the new Superintendent's Academy that I am asking to go to is also required to maintain my licensure.
So you mean you're going to come back fully trained?
Yes, I am. Let's hope.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Widener?
No.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
yes,
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Any committee reports? We know that Buildings and Grounds met before this meeting. Are there any other committees that have met or need to schedule a meeting? Okay. Moving on to unfinished business. Item number 1, motion to approve the second reading of the policies listed below, 606 tax collection and 607 tuition income.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Widener? Dear.
Give
Mr.
yourself a
Widener?
second. No.
Did he say no?
No.
He said no. Okay. Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
yes,
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Mrs. Lawson gets very emotional about policy. Moving on, item 10, area 10, section 10. Item number 1, update on right-to-know requests.
We have received 67 right-to-know requests we received 67 for the 22-23 school year. 0 have been received since the last board meeting. 67 have been fulfilled or partially denied. 7 appeals have been filed. So currently there's 0 outstanding. 7 appeals have been filed with the Office of Open Records. 3 denied, 1 dismissed, 2 were dismissed, 1 was granted / denied, part dismissed, and 1 was withdrawn. In the 22-23 school year, we spent $58,315 on attorney fees to vet our right-to-know responses. And since we started tracking on March 1st, district staff has spent approximately 65 hours on right-to-know requests.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Item 2, the TASD Visa account is there for your information as well. Item 3, motion to approve the renewal of insurance coverage for the 23-24 school year with Tri-County General Insurance Agency Incorporated as presented.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Have we, was this put out for bids or any comparisons?
I'll let Dr. Suppan address that. Did we solicit other bids for number 3 under new business?
We did. We did. We
You got
met
to
with
talk to the mic.
Sorry.
That's all right.
We did. We opened it up with 2 other insurance agencies, or 2 other brokers. Tri-County came back the best price. It was simple. Significantly, too, cheaper. So, but we did, yes, we did.
I just want to know if there was some comparisons.
Yep, there was. There were yep, 2 others.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Widener,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd,
Yes.
Mr. Franco,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. Item 4, motion to approve PSBA as the voluntary student accident insurance provider for the 23-24 school year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd,
Yes.
Mr. Franco,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Mr. Widener,
No.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. If, Mr. Doherty, could you speak to items 5, 6, and 7, and perhaps we can lump them together since they're similar in nature?
Absolutely. This is for ultimately what turns out to be a renewal for our current math, ELA, so English Language Arts, and benchmark assessment curriculum materials. Mrs. Egan oversaw an RFP process soliciting multiple vendors for each of those 3, and after vetting them, it was actually determined, and we're very happy about this, that we are staying with the same providers and just ended up renewing our licenses with them. So the financial information is in your packet, but this represents 0 curricular change for math, English Language Arts, and for benchmark assessments.
Excellent. Do we have a motion to approve items 5 through 7?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Do we have any discussion or questions on those?
Thank you for sending the pre-work.
Yes.
Mary Jean, thank you for sending the pre-work. That was helpful
Yeah.
to read through.
Also, a big part of this, or a significant portion of this, is being funded through a grant. So the ESSER funding does go for really another year and a half. So the portion that's within that year and a half, we are funding through ESSER. So we wanted to get these approved while we could still utilize that money instead of all coming out of our general budget.
Are the amounts annual amounts or total for 5 years?
That's the total.
Total for 5 years?
Yes.
Thank you. So we're using 1.5 year money for 5 years worth of
Yes,
value.
correct.
Good.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd,
Yes.
Mr. Franco,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Mr. Widener,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. Item 8, motion to approve dental and/or physician services for the 23-24 school year as presented from the following providers: Rural Health Corporation and Guthrie Clinic. Guthrie Tunkhannock. sorry.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Here's Andrew. Any other discussion?
I just wonder why there's so much difference between new employee from one company to the other. On the first page, it's $20. On the other page, it's $107.
Couldn't I? I'm
That
sorry, I
seems-
can't answer that. I
Seems
don't,
just like a lot of difference to me.
yeah, agreed. I mean, we're going to utilize them, I think, for different services.
You're going to pick
Yes,
either or?
yes, yes, we are. Like, for instance, I know a big thing that Guthrie does for us is provide required PIAA coverage at our football games, which is a huge part.
Okay. And these are in addition to, we just approved a couple last time too, because everybody, all these doctors get this sheet, they fill out what they want to bid on,
Correct.
and then we have their prices, and we choose whether to use that person or this person based on what they put in their,
That's
you know,
correct.
MSA or whatever.
Yep.
Did we look at OcuCare for any of the drug testing?
I can't answer that.
They used to be in Tyler, now they're down on River Street by the park.
Is that who we,
We do send them
yeah, we do
there.
utilize, yes.
It's, a lot of it's availability, too. Sometimes, like, Dr. Murray is not available. He's the other person that bid. People can't get in.
In fact, I think we may have utilized them relatively not long ago.
OcuCare, yes.
Yes, because we needed,
Yeah.
we needed to get somebody approved, yeah. Yes, we do utilize them, yes.
This just allows us to know what everybody's going to charge for these different things so that we can pick and choose where we want to, but it doesn't forbid us from being able to use a more expensive person if they can get us what we
Correct.
need in a timely fashion. All right, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Weidner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 9, motion to approve agreements for the 23-24 school year with the Children's Service Centers for the partial hospitalization program and therapeutic educational program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Can you explain that a little bit?
I'm sorry?
Kids that need a higher level of care than what they're getting in a typical classroom can get a therapeutic place, and they also will call it partial hospitalization program for them to go, and they just get more intensive and what's the word I'm looking for when you're having like duality of like what they're being offered for their therapeutic services and their education.
Yeah, that's not something we would nor up a kid into. It's not an educational placement. Essentially, 50% of the day is mental health. That comes from a doctor. It's not something the school sends to. That they would need a doctor's order to attend that. But we approved the children's service contract with partial hospitalization yearly.
Because they'll be one of our providers.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Is that program still at Oak Lake, or is that somewhere else?
The partial hospitalization?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's still at Oak Lake. I know there's,
Locations.
Okay.
Like there's one at Wilkes-Barre.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
there's one in Wilkes-Barre, yeah.
I know there's
I
one
would
in
say
Wilkes-Barre.
There's definitely one Wilkes-Barre. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
about
there's a
Oak Lake.
couple different locations.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Franco? Yes. Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Weidner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 10, the approval of the bus and van contracts as presented.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Weidner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Abstain.
Oh, abstain.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 11, the approval of a dual enrollment agreement between TASD and the University of Scranton from August 28th, 2023 to August 12th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Weidner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 12, motion to approve payment applications as listed. There's a payment application to Scranton Electric Heating and Cooling for $62,623 for mechanical construction. Payment to, payment number 2 for the same but for $1,108,584. And then payment application number 2 to TJ Cannon in the amount of $4,500 for the high school fire alarms.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, John, how far are they getting?
John, will you come up to the mic, please?
If this is payment number 2, like how far is?
You're talking,
Cannon?
yeah,
How far are they making progress?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, they are through the red tile, through the pool, we're actually in the auditorium and in the main hallway now with the wiring, so, putting a percentage on it it's kind of hard, but once they get to the classroom areas, it'll go much quicker.
Okay.
Okay?
John, the first 2 parts, is that for the mechanical works like here in the high school?
I didn't hear you, Bill.
Under number 12, A and B there, it says
The
Scranton
Scranton
Electric
Electric.
Yeah, the Scranton Electric, that's for the HVAC units themselves. So they put out a purchase order so that we could get them here and secure them. It's a 6 to 8 month lead time on that stuff, so we want to make sure that we have them ready for next summer.
heating. So A and B is like 2 months of bills for that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you look on the actual application for payment, I can't really see it because my eyes are shot, but I want to say it's number 4. It was like 1.3 total, and that's all for capital equipment.
Yeah, 1.531 is the HVAC equipment,
Right.
item number 4.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Roll call, please.
Mr. Widener,
No,
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd,
Yes.
Mr. Franco,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. Item 13, motion to approve a resolution approving Paul Doherty and Mary Jean Egan to act on behalf of the TASD in administering Title I, Title I-A, Title IV grants, as well as other grant applications as they become available.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd,
Yes.
Mr. Franco,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Mr. Widener,
yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. Item 14, motion to approve the district's, we're pulling that one.
Yeah, I would like to recommend that item get pulled from the agenda this evening, and I will, bring it forth at another time.
Okay. Item 15, discussion on facility usage fees for community-based youth programs.
Thank you. Recently, we had been contacted by some groups within our community asking about rental rates. And as you know, as a school district, as a public school district, we're governed by policy. So the only way to really potentially make changes, if we were interested in making changes, is by doing so through an administrative regulation. But I did some research because, for instance, if someone wanted to come and rent our facility, so say a youth sports group wanted to come and rent our facility, well, since they are nonprofit, during the school year, if we're open, there is not a rental fee. However, in the summer, we don't have evening hours, so if they wanted to do something on the weekend when we're closed, or an evening when we're not open, now there's a rental fee that's associated with that. And when you start hosting a 3 or 4 hour event, when you factor in the cost of personnel, because it's really not a question of personnel, because if we have personnel on hand, we have to pay them, so that has to be covered. A 3 or 4 hour event could end up, costing significantly a good amount of money, $800, $1,000, $1,200. I did some research into some surrounding districts, our neighbors right around us, and how they handled it. And really, I found kind of 2 that we do it very similarly to basically everyone else that's around us, with the exception of 2 places. Now, Dallas does something very interesting where they break things into 6 categories. We have 2 categories, nonprofits and for-profits. And everybody falls into that nonprofit, youth organization plus any other nonprofits fall into that. Dallas breaks it out into other categories where category 1 would be anything that's related to the school, obviously. So if we're hosting an event on a weekend, obviously there's no cost, it's our event, it's our facility. But they have youth-oriented organizations in the community are category 2. And they waive the rental fee for that category. Now, they don't waive the personnel costs, obviously. You can't waive the personnel costs if you needed to have someone run the AV booth or if you needed to have maintenance. No, that's got to be paid. But they waive that. Category 3, they have governmental organizations. So if their local board wanted to, or their city or township wanted to do something, the rental fee itself would be waived. Then nonprofits have the rental fee. That would be category 4. And then there's for-profits and the such. So I thought that was an interesting take. And then Wyalusing did something very similar where they broke it into 4 categories, where the first was the school. The second was a school-related group, but they went further to identify what the school-related groups are, and it included youth sports activities. Community-based youth sports activities. So like under category 2 would be booster clubs, Little League, and baseball and softball, youth football. So again, it would not waive a personnel cost, it would waive a rental fee. And then they have a category 3, which is nonprofits, all other nonprofits, and a category 4, which was for-profits. So I did, in speaking with some of the people in the community that had reached out to me, and I think had reached out to some of you also, if not the whole board, I said that.
We have 2 categories.
Yeah, it's very friendly if we're open. I'll say that.
And open is the school year, or open is the school day.
Or, right, but in the school year, like, we're open till 11. So when they come in at 6 o'clock, like, there's still no fee. However, if they want to come in at 6 o'clock right now, they're paying a rental fee
Right, 'cause
per
we're
our
not-
policy. Yes,
Because nobody's here.
And Sundays.
That's correct.
Sundays, even during the school year, right, we're not open.
that's correct.
Yeah.
But Saturdays during the school year, we are.
Sometimes we are. I
We
mean,
frequently have.
I'm not going to say we're
sports
never
going on.
open on Saturdays.
Oh,
Sometimes
if
we
we
are,
ha-
sometimes
okay,
we're
if we
not.
already have some going on. I
But,
see.
so for instance, renting a gym is $40 an hour if we're closed. If they do it in an evening from 6 to 9, and like we're in school, there is no fee.
Right.
Is that also true for the for-profit organizations?
We charge more for the
No, but I mean
for-profit?
during the school year, if we're open. For-profit, I think, is there?
No, that's charged.
They always pay.
That's always charged. We're
That's
talking-
always charged.
The one that's free is we're open for business and it's a nonprofit.
Correct.
I really kind of like the setup that the Dallas School District had. It was a very easy to read and understand table of, it broke it down into the 6 categories. I still think like if the building is open and it's a nonprofit, we should probably be trying to work with them. But, you get some of there is gray area that I know we've come across where it's a nonprofit organization, but they pay their coaches. Or like there's people being paid to do this nonprofit volunteer thing, because no matter how you look at it, there are going to be some expenses, and the expenses are going to be different based on, if you have a big crowd of people in the pool, you've got to treat that differently after it's over than if the pool wasn't used at all. And so there's a cost for those chemicals and things like that. Same for the difference between using a classroom at the high school versus using the stadium in the evening when you have the lights and everything on. So I do think that some of that needs to be considered, and it also needs to be considered for, that Dallas setup seems to give a lot of flexibility.
The first 3 categories all seem to be the same treatment.
Yes, the
Category
first
1, 2,
3
and 3,
categories are all
they're
the
all no
same.
cost.
Right.
Right. It seems like they add extra categories they don't need. You can shrink that table to 4.
Yeah.
Right, which is
Yeah,
what
really.
Wyalusing did essentially.
Yeah, really. I liked, I guess I liked that, You know, if the commissioners wanted to come here and host a meeting, well, yeah, there wouldn't be a cost to that, and they addressed that with their category number 3, because I think we should be working with all our partners, and,
But I mean, I would set up that if we incur a cost, then we're gonna pass some of it on to whoever wants to use it.
right.
So if somebody wants to come in during the evening in the summertime, they don't not have anybody here normally, so we're incurring a cost to have somebody here.
Well, this doesn't include, this is just literally like to rent the space.
That's right.
They still, on top of this, have to pay the custodial fee. So, no matter whether it's,
If they wanted us to open for them to come in,
Yeah.
they would be paying for the personnel to be here. So if they wanted to use this facility, they might be paying for the maintenance or the 2 maintenance workers that are here. And if they wanted to use the AV booth, they'd be paying for that as well. What they would not be charged is they would not be charged the auditorium fee of $40 an hour.
and that would be the same for the commissioners or anybody else. Like, if they wanted to come in and have a meeting on a Thursday night in the summer, then they would pay
Right, because that's something we would have to pay regardless.
they'd pay, yeah, our staffing costs.
Right, because if you remember last month.
You raised the staffing costs,
Yeah,
too.
we updated the personnel costs.
So I haven't really dove into this too much, but it's interesting because when you look at Dallas and Wyalusing, their athletic fields and stadiums are significantly higher than ours.
Yes.
But our pool is higher than Dallas's. So maybe this issue could be fixed by adjusting the pool fee to be more in line with Dallas, and we could leave everything else the same. Because I really haven't heard much about this until the pool thing came up. And so Dallas.
No, we heard about it during indoor soccer too. It's come up for multiple, like, it primarily seems to affect the community sports that, like, indoor soccer uses the IC gym, not IC, sorry, the admin gym. That's not staffed on Saturdays. So they're paying, they were paying, they use it all day for like 8 or 10 weeks. So, that it was kind of a tough pill to swallow because there was no one paid with that. And then they're also like doing scholarships for the kids. They're giving seniors, we're basically taking back from our own students by charging that if we don't need to.
So if you would like me to put something together for your consideration for next month, I'll do that, and then we could even tweak it next month.
Yeah.
But I'll get something in a format that we could take a look at and say yes or no to.
I like it.
Yeah, so when you look at, so like, for example, the auxiliary gym, when we're looking at Wyalusing, if you're familiar with, for a category 3 nonprofits, $50 a day or $100 a day, and ours is $40 an hour.
Yes.
Right.
So maybe it's just a matter of reviewing and doing a little benchmarking, because it seems like everybody's charging a fee, but maybe some of, like.
Yes, I don't know who developed any of these fees anywhere. I was just saying to Solicitor Audi in my previous district, when someone wanted to utilize the stadium, it was $2,500 for an event or $3,300 if they wanted the event at night.
Yeah.
Like, there was no, the staffing came with that. We threw that in. So I don't know what the rhyme or reason is. Like, the big thing for me is personnel costs, right? If we're getting charged overtime, I have to make sure that we're getting that back. The rental fee itself, if it comes, great, and if it doesn't, I don't know how much that would harm us.
Yep.
I think, that's the committee that I chair. I don't necessarily think we need to have a committee meeting over it, but I think that you guys are most familiar with what kind of requests you're getting and where the sticky sections are that we need to adjust and then bring something back.
We all know that money is limited, right? So when these youth organizations, and I love the fact that our campus is like the hub, right? Yep. So everything is happening here, and that benefits our community in so many ways, that they look at this like, this is the hub, the pool's the hub, the fields are the hub. That's great. I would never want to be in a position where an organization has to start looking elsewhere to potentially utilize the facility. And it's easy to tell people, well, this is what we're charging for personnel, because this is what it actually costs. Yep. But if you say, why is the pool, $80 an hour or $40, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else does either.
No.
And a lot of the organizations that this is coming, like, it's hurting the most are the organizations that are building the programs that feed our sports programs that we want to improve.
It's the youth sports programs. I mean, to be perfectly honest, that we do have others that use our facilities, but not many. You know, single digits who use the facilities other than youth sports.
Yep. Good, thank you for bringing that up. All right.
Any other comment or discussion about that subject? We'll just get some drafts to look through for the next meeting.
Absolutely.
All right, any other community comment, public comment?
I have a question. How is the produce market operating without Mr. Beebe?
Oh, good question. They're back here. Should we ask?
I kind of thought.
I know, I talked to, right before Mr. Bosher retired, I did have Mr. Shapolsky reach out for the food giveaway. How did we go last month with the first month without Mr. Bosher?
Well,
No, our
he
friends
says
are
it
back
was
there.
smoother than it's ever been when Bosher was here. Is that, oh, okay, no.
Our friends are back there. They come to every meeting.
See, now this is where the board questions the audience.
I mean, because we want to support you as best we possibly can. You provide a great service to this community and stakeholders in this district.
The biggest thing is the cleanup. Bosher had 2 trailers that we always use a trailer, and he took the cardboard around back and threw it away.
Right.
And last week, I just kept throwing it in the back of my car, running around.
Okay. So can we get one of those? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, so I'm gonna kick it to John. Can we set something up for the boxes?
So when I came in the next day, the panels were completely stacked, and there was some cardboard there. If you want to just do that, break it down, put it in the front, we'll take care of it the next day. It's really not a problem. Just throw the panel out, so it doesn't fall away.
Yeah, we want to support you. No question about it. You do an unbelievable service.
The main part,
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, they do a fine job.
They do a great job.
Any other community public comment?
I got one more item when it's time.
Go ahead, it's board comment time, go ahead.
Is it?
Yep,
I got
make sure you're
one
talking to your microphone though.
One more to report on.
Uh-oh.
Not many of you remember this name, Miss Bertha Sturman, who taught here when I was
do.
in the middle school.
I do. Typing.
Passed away, I think
she
it
did.
said she was 96.
Well, condolences to her
school.
family. Too soon.
And her sister is still kicking.
Yep. She traveled a lot.
Any other board comment?